ladies and gentlemen, to the breakdown, and I'm your host, Dujunnea Bland, and of course, I'm always joined by the boss, Carita Parks. How's it going, Carita?
It's good. It's been a busy day, but sports always makes it better.
Always. Unless we're talking about these Washington Commanders, as the Commanders take their fourth straight loss, losing 21-17 in a game where the offense still looks anemic, and the defense has played two straight games that they've given their offense an opportunity to win the game.
Agreed.
Look, I'm not even going to bore you, ladies and gentlemen, with the stats because it's irrelevant. But I got time today. And I'm going to tell you right now, Riverboat Ron and this soft staff, it's about time for you to start packing your bags and hitting the road. Here's why. First of all, if you're not going to pack your bags, Ron, someone needs to be fired yesterday. You can choose Scott. Guy over there calls himself a defensive guru. And Del Rio, which in 2 games he's kind of saved his job, but we'll get there. Look, you got all these weapons on this offense, and yet they were only able to muster up a measly 43 yards of rushing. You are a pass-happy offense. How? Why? It was all about Brian Robinson coming back, right? Supposed to help the run game. Well, you made him look like he was inept because the calls you made and that weak offensive line that you staged your quarterback behind, which we'll get there, has caused this offense to look quite unable to do anything. Where does it start? Where does it start, Carita?
You know, you made a good point in your opening statement. We had complaints about the defense, but they've actually stepped up in these past 2 games. So the problem is looking more and more like offense at this point. They cannot score when it's necessary to score. The game plan just doesn't seem to be really using the strengths of the personnel that they have. And that interception at the end of the game at the goal line was a dagger. I mean, in the press room, everyone just had no words. No words. It was quiet. I was looking around. Everybody was just looking like, wow. Did that really just happen? You know, and then you talk about Ron Rivera. And I like Ron Rivera, right? But when he comes into the press room, he's a little short. Obviously, he's irritated. But also, I don't feel like his answers are what fans need to hear right now to make them feel like this team can move in the right direction. And I was just talking to the players in the locker room, and they are just like at a loss for words at this point. It's like I asked Bobby McCain, what can you do to take that next step to get a win? And all he could say was like, we just need to find a way to win. We just need to find a way to win. And he just like couldn't give me anything else. So that's a long-winded answer. But I blame the offense, but I think I'm with you. I blame the coaching more than I blame the offense. The coaching is what we're getting on the field. At this point, there's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Collectively, this coaching staff is not getting the job done.
No. Absolutely not. Let me tell you something. I'll give you some stats, though, ladies and gentlemen. They're not going to be the ones you want to hear. But I'm sick and tired of seeing penalties to the galore every week, especially in these past 4 losses. Mainly, it's really hiked up in the past 3. So in their past 3 games, they have 8 penalties per game. They are averaging 6.4. On Sunday, they had 9 penalties. You know what that sounds like? It sounds like an undisciplined team to me. Okay? Because it's apparent that these things are happening in practice. They have to be. Because they occur regularly during the game. Mm-hmm. Now, it's apparent that we have coaches that are just allowing those things to slide and not correcting these individuals. Because we see the same crap, especially on offense, every week. Now, it doesn't take a rocket scientist, doesn't take a person to have a whole lot of football knowledge to understand a disciplined football team. And this ain't one of them. You know where that starts at? At the top. Ron Rivera, Mr. Softy. Hey, love the guy, great personality. But when it comes down to coaching this football team, the approach is whack, son. You got to change somewhere. And if it ain't you, then somebody on your staff has to go. I don't want to hear about what we're working on anymore. We're 3 years in. Same system.
Yeah, and that's the problem. We are 3 years in. And that it doesn't help, DJ, that the Giants are playing the way they're playing.
with Daniel Jones.
With a new coach.
Coach.
I mean, this doesn't always happen. And I absolutely get that and I understand that. Sometimes it takes more time. But you are in your 3rd year, and that man's in his 1st year, and he's had an immediate impact. It doesn't help
and
the case.
Talent. Name me one wide receiver. I can't, because they don't matter. They're not that good. They're not as good as these wide receivers on the Commanders.
Now that I cannot lie to you. I mean, I cannot disagree with you. I mean,
fans are sick and tired of seeing this. And look. Y'all can blame Carson all you want. You know, it's the age-old additive here in Washington. It dates way back. It's like it's ingrained in Washington fans to blame the quarterback. But you tell me, you find the best quarterback you can find in the state of Maryland, D.C. as well, and put him behind this offensive line and tell me what's going to happen. The exact same thing. They have no time. And then you got an offensive coach that can't even scheme up and get creative to scheme up a decent run game so they can have some kind of balance. Quit it. It ain't got nothing to do with the quarterback when he ain't got any time. And then
Now, I agree, but I need Carson to show a little more oomph in his post-game comments. Like, it's just all so casual. Like, it's tough. It's frustrating.
Yeah, I don't want to hear frustrating 50 times.
But I want you to have a little bit of like, have some swag about this. Like, take the bull by the horn. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Those 4 plays they called, or those plays they called down in the red zone, did not help said quarterback. I don't know what you're doing throwing over the middle down there. First off.
But they didn't learn their lesson when he got picked off, when he almost got picked off twice. Yes. He almost got picked off twice before that 3rd time.
Yeah.
I did not mean to interrupt you.
No, you're right. 100% right. And I'm just like, we're not talking about these players anymore because it's apparent that you're not scheming up to the talent you have on the football field. You're not helping your offensive line because you just keep on dropping Carson back. 8, 9, 10-step drops.
Mm-hmm.
Running play action. Like we got it. Every time you turn around, we can't even run the ball. 43 yards yesterday, ladies and gentlemen. 43 yards. Get out of here. I'm tired of seeing it. And as far as I'm concerned, this staff is done for me. And you need to either that or you need to start acting like your job's on the line, because in my opinion, your job's on the line. And in my opinion, if you're so about getting things done and doing the right thing, they quickly fired a defensive line coach who, to me, wasn't a problem. Your offensive coordinator's trash. He can't call a game to save his life. Now he's up in the booth, and he did the same exact thing. So what difference does it make? Take your butt and put it back on the field, because it don't matter where you're sitting. The calls are still crap. And you're still not helping your quarterback, and your offense is abysmal against a team that the Washington Commanders defense walloped. Only thing I have a problem with this defense is the mental lapse. It's the same mistakes over and over again that give up big plays, and it's always that one play that cost them a game for a touchdown, because we got mental lapses in the secondary. So what does that tell you? That tells me that you're trying to do things that are outside of the confines of what your players on the back end can do. Simple as that. I mean, it doesn't take much to simplify things, but I guess that's too much of a pride thing for a coach who really has no business being prideful. You ain't done jack squat since you left the Jacksonville Jaguars.
I mean, he probably doesn't see it that way, but...
Well, we can have a conversation about that, but I can tell you right now, he ain't done jack squat. And I'd really rather say the other word. Family show.
Yeah, I just think it's interesting. I thought that the must-win game, I know, the must-win game for them was definitely the Cowboys.
Absolutely.
But since they did not win that game, I said, this is absolutely a must-win versus the Titans. They did not win that either. And let's just keep it real. The Titans was not killing the game.
No.
That was a winnable matchup. They struggled in their passing game, maybe because they lost A.J. Brown. But because of that, defenses can swarm in and focus in on Derrick Henry.
Yep.
The defense was getting sacks on Ryan Tannehill. Like, they were not playing like the Titans last season, who we thought might go to the Super Bowl. Not at all.
Not even close. Washington had 3 sacks, 17 yards, but they had a lot of hurries and a lot of pressures.
Right. So it's just, and Montez Sweat, oh, by the way. Balling. Beast mode. Beast mode. He's like in a zone, all on his own. So I just want to give him props. He was definitely a bright spot, so let's acknowledge that.
Yes.
But yeah, so now you're going to Chicago. I know we'll talk about this later, so I won't get too much into it. But now you're going to Chicago on Thursday, and you're in a bad spot.
Oh, this is ugly. This is ugly. But let me throw you some stats out here for the Chicago Bears.
Go ahead, then. Go ahead and throw them stats out.
You think they're really good because they're Chicago Bears and they have a mobile quarterback. But I'm gonna tell you,
I don't know if I think they're really good though.
This team's garbage. 31 in total offense. They only average 274 yards per game. They're 5th in rushing yards per attempt, 4.5, and 5th in rushing yards per game, 151.4. They are 32nd in passing, 116.6 yards per game. And you know what's going to happen on Thursday night? The Commanders are taking another L. Yep. I'm telling you that right now.
Wait.
Loserville.
Now, I absolutely know it's possible.
Loserville.
But I want to know why you are so sure.
Look, if you can't move the ball against a Tennessee Titans defense that, to me, ain't jack squat, and I want to say something else.
I know you do.
And you couldn't move the ball against a Detroit Lions defense that really ain't all that great. You barely won against Jacksonville. And here we are going to Chicago on a Thursday night, and we all know how well this team performs on any primetime game. Yeah. I see a loss happening here. Because they can't move the ball. And Scott Turner can't scheme himself out of a wet paper bag. Mm-hmm. Defense is probably going to perform quite well. But these mental lapses is what's going to cost this team the football game. And they're going to lose another close game where they barely muster up points. And the opposing team squeaks out by getting one series of mental laps and a couple field goals and going to walk out of here winning another one at home. I'm just not buying it. And when you talk about how the players are in the locker room, bruh, this is sad Susie City.
Hello.
Making excuses. No morale, no nothing. So when do the players stop buying into this crap that you keep saying every week? But ain't putting nothing out there. We're going to talk about how great they doing all week, how great practice they had all week, and then we go out there and we watch y'all put up 9 penalties for 71 yards. But we want to talk about how great they are. Look, man, Bears are hungry.
I mean, right now, the way it's going, these Commanders cannot figure out a way to win, even when they're winnable games. So I can't go into Thursday with confidence based on past performance.
Yep. And I'm not even putting this on the players. This is about coaching. And I'm tired of coaches thinking that they can just pigeonhole whoever they want and whatever they want into what they want to do. It's about time that Scott and Ron have a talk and they start tailoring this offense to what they have up front, because the offensive line just ain't good enough. So you're going to have to start playing like this offensive line just ain't good enough. Start adding some 2 tight end sets to help this running game that you have 2 solid running backs. And a guy in Brian Robinson is like one decent block away from breaking it away for 25 plus yards on runs. You have the talent, but you aren't doing the job as a coach in coaching up this talent. It's embarrassing. No more excuses.
And on a side note, it would have been really nice for them to win that game with Brian Robinson coming back. Not that he was definitely not the key to them winning. You know, we were talking about this yesterday at the game. It's like he's back, and yes, he is, one of the top running backs that Washington has. But the team has so many other problems that just because he's back, they're not going to magically win. So exactly. I want to clarify that. However, it would have just been nice with just how he came out last, standing ovation, him just being back. It would have just been the icing on the cake.
He came out to many men.
Many men, yes.
Like, y'all couldn't get hyped up for that. And look, Diami Brown, another guy who steps in Jahan's place and balls. But I told y'all that 2 years ago about this guy. Or am I too far out? Either way, I've been talking about what his abilities are. They just haven't been able to do it. And they haven't really had a quarterback to do it. And he balled out yesterday. Mm-hmm. But, again, I'm going to say this. Look, Carson's going to have those moments. That's who he is. Go look at the Colts. Go look at after his injury in Philly. That's who he is. The thing about it, though, is when he does turn the ball over, he has the ability to recover from it. Just yesterday was bad timing. Mm-hmm. It was bad timing. And I also blame...
horrible timing.
I blame the offensive coordinator for calling those style of plays over the middle of the field that the way you did.
Especially when they weren't working, okay? Right. Especially when they wasn't working.
But... they live in the definition of insanity to continue to do things repeatedly and expect different results, but receive the same results. And that's what's resulting in 4 straight losses. And they working on 5.
Yeah. I did ask Coach Rivera, like, what do you say to keep these guys motivated at this point? And, he was kind of just like, we're going to work on being the team that we know we can be. And he said some other things. I'm just summarizing.
Yeah.
And, we're not going to back down. Nothing's easy in this league. And so, yeah, I hear it. I get it. But it's hard to stay motivated as a team when you're not winning.
Exactly. I don't know what else to say on that one. I'll ask you, what are your scores, and do you have them winning Thursday night?
Gosh, that's a good question. I did not think about my score. My mind can't even go there. I'm like, but let me try to come up with something real quick. Yesterday, they scored 17 points. I'm going to go 20 to 24. I'm going to go. I think it'll be close.
It's going to be close.
I'm going to go 20 to 24 on this one, but I think I'm going to go with the freaking Bears. I hate to say it, but until the Commanders show me that they can do something different, it's just hard for me to call it, because this will be the time the Bears figure it out.
Right. I mean, Washington is the get-right team. Everybody gets right against Washington.
Right.
And I think the Bears are going to get right on Thursday night. They're going to score about 20 points. I'm going to give Washington the good old 17. 20 to 17. The Bears.
The Bears.
And with that, this is over. Thank goodness. But when we come back, we're gonna talk about this Tua situation and the NFL and NFLPA so-called investigation. When we come back. So it's awful that we're even talking about the fact that a player went back out on the field after stumbling all over himself and then got even more seriously hurt in the game Thursday night. Well, the NFL and NFL-PA had a joint statement in regards to Tua's investigation, and really, as we all thought, it was a bunch of words to do with nothing with Tua's situation. Carita, you deal with public relations, you deal with a lot of different things and have a real good base for this type of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't what fans nor media was looking for when it was coming down to a statement. You basically amending your protocol and adding a new verbiage for checking, which is similar to just simple concussion protocol.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on what the NFL and NFLPA have presented to us, first off? And second of all, do you feel that they are in the business of truly protecting the players, or is this more about the money in the bottom line of the shield?
Well, let me start right there really quick. The NFL is a business. They have always been a business. They've never conducted, let's just keep it real, they've never really made a lot of decisions that make us feel like they truly are protecting the health and safety of players. I mean, aside from that, we've had players in situations where there's been domestic violence. There's been just other situations, sexual assault, whatever. And it's really like, if we don't find out about it, those players would still be playing. Like, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
So the NFL is a business. They are always about that bottom line. We even saw it in COVID. They found a way to still play. They were having fans, even limited number of fans, even when it wasn't the proper time to do that. So yeah, I think the NFL has shown us multiple times that they're going to be about the money, and if a player says he can play, they're not going to argue with that, even though they should. Now, to get to the statement, I think that people want to see real change. They want to see drastic changes, especially after the Tua situation. So this was definitely an opportunity for them to, in my opinion, I don't think they should have rushed the process. Here's how I feel. Obviously, that is where they're going to leave it, and that's probably why they approached it the way they did. Yeah. But what I think they could have done was had what they did, a statement regarding Tua individually and what their findings were from that, whatnot. But then set us up for something separate coming out at some point. Not, I say some point, I think they should outline when they thought that would be.
Right.
With more detailed changes to the concussion protocol. But they didn't do that because they're not going to make extensive changes to the concussion protocol. No. So they gave us what they gave us. But let's just keep it real. I was telling DJ before the call, I didn't get a chance to thoroughly read the statement. So prior to this call, I made sure I read it in more detail so I could talk intelligently about it. And the change that they made is so buried. It's buried in that message.
It is.
I had to find it again, and I had to be like, DJ, where did you say you saw that? Because I saw it, but I kind of missed it. So it was buried in there, and just from a communications perspective, that's probably one of the most important pieces of information. So that should have been more clear, and it should have been pulled out in a way that people could see it quickly. But it wasn't that, and that's why it was buried. Yeah. Because it really wasn't a huge change.
No. Again, I may be saying this wrong. It's ataxia is the word that they're going to use. It is called a no-go syndrome. It is defined as abnormality of balance and stability, motor coordination, or dysfunctional speech caused by a neurological issue. Well, that's basically concussion. I mean, you shouldn't have to go through all of that to find that. I mean, everybody knows that there's something neurological or could be something neurological. You just added another term. I don't like the fact that the NFL and the NFL-PA release a joint statement because the NFL-PA is supposed to be for the players.
Right.
And lately, they haven't presented themselves as if they're for the players. You seem to be real close, hand in hand, buddy with the Shield. And that's not how it's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
NFL-PA should have had their own thought process of how they felt about the said player, in this case, Tua, being handled. There should have been more of extensive. You gave us 4 bullet points on crap we already know. We watched the games. We saw it. You don't need to explain it to us. And you sending, it's not like it's going out to the public. You sending this to us. We know. We're not dumb. We cover the league. So, like you said, it ain't clear communication and it ain't no real change. So, it is what it is. It's sad, though. It really is. Last but not least, before we get out of here, I saw this coming a mile away, and Matt Rule is no longer the head coach of the Carolina Panthers.
Right.
He shouldn't be, because he should have never got hired. Let's just put it that way. You know, it's funny how all these hot new so-and-sos get hired, but a guy like Brian Flores couldn't get another job.
Nathaniel Hackett.
Yeah, name whoever.
He's still TBD for me.
Yeah, I mean, come on, man. This isn't a surprise.
No.
This is a team that has talent, and you know, he kind of did himself in when he stuck himself to, my man who can't seem to get out of his own way there, the quarterback. I'm sorry.
Sam Darnold?
No.
No.
Well, yes, him, but he also brought in former Cleveland Browns.
Talking about Baker?
Baker Mayfield, yeah. Baker, no touchdown maker. This is pretty much writing on the wall, and they have talent. I really don't think Sam. I think Sam is used goods, but I do think Baker has the ability to be what we think he can. I think the ceiling that most people think it is a little bit too high, but he can get this team to be able to win games. Again, coaching staff is preventing them from doing that. Who does that sound like? Washington Commanders.
I'm not gonna lie. I was surprised they fired him this early in the season. I definitely thought he would be gone. I did think he would make it to the end of the season.
Yeah.
So, but you know, at this point in time, like, he's just not. He hasn't been good either.
No, not at all. Because there's a couple other coaches that's out here. I'll throw Houston on that one, that have less, and their team is playing harder and performing a lot better than most people would think, especially looking at that roster. I mean, most would say they don't even have a quarterback, and yet they're performing and keeping up with teams the likes of the Chargers and others that they've played. They are not a cakewalk.
Well, they beat the Jaguars. I didn't see the game. Yeah. I don't want to see it, but
it wasn't that good, unfortunately. It was like they were a different team against them.
Huh.
And quarterback struggled big time. Trevor Lawrence.
Trevor struggled again.
Struggled a little bit.
Oh, no. Mm-mm.
Not very good. Not very good. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes it. And, man, it's going to be a great week coming up of sports. This league, though, is producing the parity that we all hoped it would be. Because there's teams that are winning on Sunday that have no business. You look at things and you're like, you make these picks, and I'm barely over 500 this year. Every game that you think is going to go one way ends up going another. So I'm loving the league in that aspect. It may not be great for fans, but it's great for media people like us who cover the league and cover these teams. It's just interesting. Makes it interesting. Tell us what you got going on, Carita.
Tomorrow, Wizards have open practice. That'll be Tuesday, so this podcast will be out. Tuesday, Wizards have their open practice. They also have their preseason game tonight, which is Monday night. So I'll be watching that, and also, doing my regular reporting as far as that's concerned. Yeah. And, of course, the Commanders will be doing my coverage on Thursday night as far as they are concerned. And, you can just check me out. Double Take Sports in general for my sports coverage. Also, 3pointconversion.com for my Commanders coverage. And, sportsjourney.com is where you're going to find this podcast, you dig?
That's right. All that stuff is great. She did some great stand-up this weekend at the Commanders game. Really doing a great job over there. Three-point conversion, but why would I expect anything less? It's what she does. Okay?
Man, I appreciate it, DJ.
Well, it's just this podcast here for me on sportsjourney.com. The breakdown. I'm taking a little bit of a step back, finishing up the NHRA season, which will kick off this weekend. We're getting close to the last 3 races this season, and it's going to be a blast. So really focusing on that. You can find a lot of things I do on Twitter, and might have a surprise show on Twitter, being that our platform, Ghostcast, is down for repair right now. They're revamping so everybody can listen to that podcast, The Not Bland Show. So I can't wait till it comes back. The mic is hot, ladies and gentlemen. It's really hot. I can't wait to get back at it.
Yes.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you so much for listening to this show. And of course, as always, you've been listening to a Sports Journey production. We'll catch you next time.
All right.